Today we're going to talk about the second section in 9.2. It is about areas of circles. Before we do that, though, I want to do just a quick reminder of things that we talked about in 9.1. First things first, I'm going to draw a picture down here at the bottom right where you see the circle. From here to that point, my question is, what is the distance from the center to any point on a circle? Do you guys remember what that was called?
The diameter.
It is the radius. Everyone say radius. So radius is the shorter one. Now let's look at the next question. What is the distance across a circle through the center? What is it all the way across? That is the diameter. Good job. The next question asks, what is the distance around the circle? So if I were to take something and try to measure the outside of that circle, what would that be called? Everyone say circumference. That would be our circumference. There are two formulas we had yesterday on circumference. If you don't know what they are, you may glance back at your notes from yesterday. Could someone raise your hand and tell me what one of the formulas is for the circumference of a circle? Reagan, what's one of them?
C equals 2 pi times r.
Very good. C equals 2 times pi times r. What's the other one? Halen. C equals pi times d. Very good. Now, if you remember pi, we write it with a little squiggle line and then two straight lines coming down. There are two values for pi. Who can give me what one of the values was that we talked about yesterday? Jonathan, what's one of them? 3.14. That's the most common one, but sometimes I'll ask you for a fraction. Ellie, what was that fraction? 22 over 7. Okay, so that's just a little review of what we should know from yesterday. Now I want you to take out your red pen, and if you would, with your red pen, fill in the two formulas that I've given you today for a circle and a semicircle. All right, the first formula that we have today is A equals pi r squared. Everyone say A equals pi r squared. Coming up next week on Thursday, we are going to have a quiz. And on that quiz, you're going to need to know all the formulas for Chapter 9, okay? So that's kind of what this chapter is a lot about. It's about geometry, but these formulas are what's going to help you to do really well on the quiz or on the test, okay? A semicircle is a little bit different. It's not just pi r squared. What would it be? Thank you. It is pi r squared divided by 2 because we are cutting it in half. We are dividing it by 2, okay? Next up, pi. I want you just to take your red pen, if you would, and write this for me, what pi looks like. Remember, there are two values for pi, 3.14 or 22 over 7. All right, so we're going to use those formulas now. It asks us to find the area of the circle. This one specifically tells us to use 22 over 7 for pi and round to the nearest whole number. The first thing I want us to do every single time is decide whether it gives us the radius or the diameter. Guys, if it goes from right here in the center to the edge, is that the radius or the diameter? Radius. That is the radius. Underneath it, I want everyone to write the radius equals 7 centimeters. So guys, if the radius is 7 centimeters, what would the diameter be?
14.
14. How'd you figure that out? Multiply it by 2. Okay, so today we're going to use our new formula for area of a circle. A equals pi r squared. Nasir, what does it ask me to use pi for this time? In the instructions, what is pi?
Oh, 22 over 7.
Very good. So guys, instead of pi, we are plugging in 22 over 7. Madison, what's my radius? 7. Okay, so we're going to multiply it by 7. Once again, we're just plugging in for the r squared. All right, so according to, there's this thing that we learned way long ago, PEMDAS. Do you guys remember PEMDAS? What does the P stand for? Parentheses. Is there any work to do inside the parentheses? No. Are there any E exponents?
No. Yes.
Yes. What are my exponents here?
2.
Okay. 7 squared. Guys, what does 7 squared mean? 7 times 7. All right. So we're going to write A equals 22 over 7 times 49. All right, so guys, looking at this, Can I cross-reduce anything? If I want to, I could put this over a 1. Halen, what could I cross-reduce? 7 and?
49.
The 7 and the 49, what do they become?
7 and 1 and 49.
Very good. And now all you're going to do is just multiply across the numerators and the denominators. Jonathan, when you do that, what do you get? Okay, 154 divided by 1. Do we need to keep that 1 in there?
No.
No. Now, here's the deal. Normally, we would just say that these are centimeters, but I am asking you for the area of this circle, which means I want to know all the space. I want to know how much space it takes up. So instead of it just being units, it's going to be units squared. Okay, so we're going to put a little square right here, centimeters squared. There's another way that people have learned to do it before. You could also write it this way, 154 square centimeters. I'm okay with you doing either way, but anytime it asks you in the instructions to find the area, you are always going to square the units, not just keep the regular units. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Madison, does it give me the radius or the diameter? It gives me the radius. It says the radius is 6 feet. So Madison, what would the diameter be? 12 feet is correct. All right, help me out, Ellie. What is the formula for finding the area of a circle? It's right up there at the top of your notes from today. A equals not pi r2, but pi r squared, okay? To Kobe, what should we use for our pi? The instructions told us what to use.
Use 22 over 7.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to plug in 22 over 7 where we see here the pi. And then, Regan, what am I going to plug in for the radius? Always go back to the original problem and see, what do we plug in for the r, or the radius? 6, okay? So we're going to multiply that times 6. Remember, all we're doing is just plugging that in, and we have to square the units. Jocelyn, according to PEMDAS, what should I do first?
Parentheses.
Okay, is there any work to do inside of those parentheses?
No.
No. So what's the next thing I should do?
What are those things called? The 2.
Exponents. Okay, what does 6 squared mean?
6 times 2.
Not 6 times 2,
6.
times itself.
So 6 times 6.
6 times 6. What is 6 times 6?
It is 30.
Very good. So we're going to multiply by 36. I'll put that over a 1. Abigail, can I cross-reduce anything? No. So all we're going to do is just multiply across, and then you'll have to divide by 7. I want you guys to do that one on your own. You're going to do 22 times 36 divided by 7. All right, Michaela, what did you get?
113 square feet.
113.14285. Now, it asks us to round to the nearest what?
Whole number.
If you remember, the whole number is always what comes to the left of that decimal point, okay? So this one is asking that one, hey, are you 5 or bigger? What's it say?
No.
No. So it stays the same, and the answer would be 113 what? Feet squared. Don't forget to square those units.
I can figure it out.
All right, looking at the next one, it asks us to find the area of the circle, but to use 3.14 for pi, okay? First things first, Michaela, does it give me the radius or the diameter? Look right here. It gave us all the way across the circle. What is that? That's the diameter. Everyone say diameter.
Diameter.
Okay, so the diameter is 26 inches. Halen, what is the radius?
13.
How'd you figure that out? All you do is you cut it in half, okay? So you're dividing by 2. Now that we have identified what the radius and the diameter is, we are going to go ahead and use our formula. Reagan Robertson, what is the formula?
The formula is
We're finding area of a circle.
equals pi times r times 2.
Not times 2. Pi r squared. Everyone say pi r squared.
Pi r squared.
Everyone say pi r squared.
Pi r squared.
Everyone say pi r squared.
Pi r squared.
Thank you. All right, Luke, what do I plug in for pi this time? The instructions tell you what to do.
The 314, right?
Yep, 3.14. Jonathan, what's my radius? The original problem will tell you what the radius is.
13.
Times 13. Jocelyn, what do I need to do with the 13?
You need to multiply it? Oh, no, you put square.
I square it. Very good. All right, Abigail, what should I do next? What part should I multiply first? According to PEMDAS.
Oh.
Okay, is there any work to do inside of the parentheses? No, so the E stands for exponents. What is this answer right here, Abigail? 13 squared. Very good. Nasir, what should I do with those two numbers?
You multiply.
Okay, tell us what you get when you multiply those together.
530.66.
Okay, 530.66. Class, should I round this?
Yes.
Yes, what does it say to round to? The nearest tenth. Which place is the tenth place here? That first 6. Okay, so you were trying to see, should it be 530.6 or should it be 530.7? What do you guys think? Okay, 530.7 because it does need to round up. And then Ellie, do you know what our units are? Inches squared. Very good. All right, I want you and your partner to try to do the next one together. Okay, so remember the very first thing you want to do is identify what the diameter and the radius is. Guys, what did you decide the radius was?
28 feet.
14 feet, because you have to divide it by 2. Okay, then we've got A equals pi r squared. It told us that the pi was 3.14, and the radius we just discovered was 14. What should I do first?
Make the square the exponent.
14 squared. What is 14 squared?
196. 196.
196. When you multiply those together, what'd you guys get?
614.44.
All right, a lot of people got this far, and then it asked you to round to the nearest tenth, and people kind of struggled. Guys, remember the tenths place is right after the decimal point, and that's when he tries to figure out, should I get bigger or stay smaller? What is the answer?
615.4 feet squared.
Thank you for the square also. Raise your hand if you and your partner were able to get this together. All right, let's look at the next one. First thing I want us to identify before we move on, this says 30 feet, and it's talking about the distance all the way across the circle. Guys, is that the diameter or the radius?
Diameter.
That does give us the diameter, so let's just identify that we understand that's the diameter. Just the girls, what would the radius be if the diameter is 30?
15.
15. Good job, because it's exactly half. Now I want us to talk about the area of a circle formula. Guys, what's the formula for area of a circle? A equals pi r squared. Everyone say A equals pi r squared.
A equals pi r squared.
Now here's the deal. This is not a whole circle. What is this? A half of a circle or a semicircle. Because it's only a half, what do you think I need to do with my formula? Okay, so like what Ellie said, we are going to cut the circle in half, so we have to divide the formula by 2. Now here's what I want you to be careful of. I have a lot of people who see, oh, there's a 2 here and there's a 2 here, so they think they can cancel them out. Can someone explain to me why I cannot cancel that out? Ellie?
Because that square is just not a 2 next to the r.
Good job. When something says squared, it doesn't symbolize the number 2. It symbolizes multiplying it by itself, right? So that represents a lot of different numbers. So don't cancel those out for me. Now let's go on. Does it tell me what I have to make pi to be? Do the instructions say which pi to use? No, which means you can choose which one you want to use. What one do you think we want to use? 3.14 is the easiest for us, so we're going to put 3.14. It would be kind of silly to put 22 over 7 in the top part of a fraction. Jocelyn, what is the radius?
15 feet.
15. And we're going to square that, and then we have to divide the whole thing by 2 because it's a semicircle, so we're going to cut the area in half. Now, Sierra, what should I do first? You are correct. We're going to do those exponents. Now, Sierra, what does 15 squared mean?
15 times 15.
Good job. 15 times 15. And what is 15 times 15?
225.
225. Abigail, what should I do next?
Multiply pi times 2.
Very good. What do you get when you do that?
I got 706.
Okay. So, yeah, you got 706.5 divided by 2. And when you do that, we're going to see 353.25. Do the instructions ask me to round? No. So we're going to leave it just like that. Abigail, what are my units? Feet squared is correct. Remember, anytime that it asks for the area, you will always square the units.
I'm confused. So you said...
Let's first identify on problem B. Class, did I give you the radius or the diameter?
Radius.
The radius. So everybody put down here, the radius is 11 feet. Just the boys, what would the diameter be? 22 feet. It's just going to be doubled. Okay, let's start with our formula. Jacoby, what's the formula for finding the area of a semicircle?
The area, it would be A equals pi times and an exponent to divide by 2.
Excellent. I want you and your partner to do this together. Jonathan, help me out. What should I do first? All right, Jonathan, what'd you do?
First,
Okay, what is, you did your exponents first. What is 11 times 11? What is it? Not 22. That's 11 times 2. Someone help me out. What's 11 times 11?
11 times 11.
121. Okay? Okay. Jonathan, what do I do now?
and you multiply.
Okay, what's the top? Okay, but then you got to divide that by 2. When you do that, what do you get? Okay, and what are your units? Feet squared, okay? How many of you would say you and your partner got that together?
I got that.
All right, let's go to the next one. There's one review problem that I want us to get from yesterday. If this is across the circle, is that the diameter or the radius? The diameter. So what would the radius be? 4.5, because all we did is we just cut that in half, okay? Now, this is a formula that we used from yesterday. Coming up on your quiz next week, you are going to have to know all the different formulas, okay? So I want you to, if you don't remember the circumference formula, use your notes, go back to it, but I want you and your partner to work on number 4 together. Okay, the formula, guys. What did you use to start off for this formula?
C equals pi times 3.
C equals pi times the diameter. What'd you use for pi? All right, so you can use either one you want. Most of the time people like 3.14. Guys, what's the diameter? 9. When you multiplied it together, girls, what'd you get? What are the units? Should I square the units? Why not? It's not the area. If it just asks for circumference, you do not need to square the units. Okay? That's all I got for you today.